McLarens being disqualified in Vegas may be the exact thing that Max Verstappen needs to win his 5th straight championship. And to be honest, I cannot imagine what it would be like to not only have to have raced against Max Verstappen in his prime, but also race against Lewis Hamilton in his prime. This is the first season in a really long period of time where it felt like things might be shifting towards a new team and a new driver. But when we look at this season from Zandvoort till now, it has been almost a diabolical comeback from Max. After the Dutch Grand Prix, Max Verstappen was 104 points behind Oscar Piastri, who at that time was leading the championship. Now, just 7 rounds later with that double disqualification, Max is not only tied with Oscar, he's only 24 points behind Lando Norris, the current championship leader. And we have 2 rounds left in Qatar and Abu Dhabi, and one of those, Qatar, actually has a sprint race. So we're looking at a situation where Max might be able to make one of the greatest comebacks in Formula One, where at one point during the season, Max not only said he didn't expect to win another championship, he didn't expect to win another race this season. After we saw this shift where Max was becoming a title contender, you guys know that I have been rooting for him to do so, just because I think it would be such an insane comeback. But after Max won Vegas and Lando still managed to be in 2nd, I kind of thought that it was too tall of an order. However, during the race, we heard Lando being told to lift and coast and that he was managing an unknown issue. If you're new to the world of Cargo Fast, there is a plank on the bottom of the floor of the car. And after every Grand Prix, a number of cars are selected randomly to be inspected. The plank on the floor of a Formula One car cannot go under a certain amount. And that's because throughout the race, if your car is running too low to the ground, you will actually wear that plank down to a point that we know it was outside of the legal limit. It keeps teams from being able to gain an unfair advantage by running their car lower to the ground than is within regulations. And both of the McLarens were found to have worn that plank down too far, meaning that both of their cars were running too low to the ground for this race. And because it was the same on both cars, it's most likely something in the way that they ran their setup this weekend. And before we start calling conspiracy theory, as I've seen a number of people doing online, this has happened a number of times in this sport, and it's even happened this season as well. Lewis Hamilton was disqualified this season for a plank wear issue, and actually back in 2023, we saw a very similar situation to this one, where at the US Grand Prix, both Charles Leclerc and Lewis Hamilton were disqualified for plank wear issues, knocking them off of the podium as they had both finished P2 and P3. And so it's going to be interesting to see what happens in these next 2 rounds. Because if Max does win this championship, it's undeniable that it is because he did an incredible job making this comeback. But it's also a little bit of a championship lost on McLaren's side. Lando Norris and Oscar Piastri had such a large point lead on Max that really they should have been able to lift and coast, so to speak, to the end of the season with one of them in that championship space. But as we go into 2 more rounds with one of the best drivers we've ever seen in this sport, a 24-point gap doesn't really seem that intense. And Max has 2 Grand Prix and a sprint race left to try to make up those points. We only have 2 rounds left in this championship, and we have 3 title contenders. And as the fight is even closer than we expected it to be after Vegas, how do you think the top 3 are going to finish this championship out?